Titanic's final week in Belfast, the ship was marketed as unsinkable. Behind the scenes, the picture was very different. Engineers were logging defective rivets, unusual vibrations, and watertight compartments that did not seal as designed. None of those warnings ever made it into the papers. They stayed locked inside reports labeled as acceptable issues, a decision that kept the schedule on track and helped pave the way to the tragedy of 1912. Before we walk through this last week in Titanic's life, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow every detail that almost stayed hidden in the archives. In that last week in Belfast, the day starts before sunrise for thousands of shipyard workers. Each crew has specific tasks to get Titanic ready for sea trials and the maiden voyage. Engineers follow the schedule closely, checking what is still missing in each section of the ship. The evidence shows the project is in its final stage, but there are still critical adjustments to make in structure, machinery, and interiors. Time is short, and the top priority is to meet the date promised to the public. In this environment, every hour of work becomes more valuable than any recommendation for caution. Titanic's structure depends on millions of rivets and steel plates running along the hull. Records point to a mix of materials with different levels of quality, chosen according to cost and availability. In high-stress areas, stronger rivets are used. In others, cheaper alternatives go in. Engineers notice that some rivets fail during installation and have to be replaced. The watertight compartments are built on top of this base, designed to contain partial flooding. Small sealing failures and irregular joints are already starting to show up in internal reports. With the hull closed and the watertight compartments in place, more systematic internal tests begin. Engineers walk the corridors measuring vibrations, checking alignments, and evaluating how well doors close. Some rivets fail under test conditions, leaving clear marks of stress beyond what was expected. Doors that should seal completely show small gaps to anyone inspecting carefully. These points are written down in technical reports and labeled as adjustments needed, but not urgent. The evidence shows that the structure is working, but with inconsistencies that would require more correction time than the schedule allows. As Titanic moves closer to sea trials, the timeline weighs as much as the technical reports. The White Star Line has already announced the maiden voyage and sold tickets with a fixed departure date. Any delay means extra costs, rescheduling other ships, and negative exposure in the press. In the offices, telegrams keep reminding everyone of deadlines and reputation. The evidence shows there are still issues to fix, but decisions now balance technical risk against public commitments. In practice, the ship needs to be ready on paper, not only in its physical structure. With the problems mapped out, quick fixes begin. In many parts of the hull, the solution is to reinforce instead of rebuild. Extra plates are added over weaker areas, rivets are replaced only where they failed, and seals get additional layers of material. The evidence suggests that many corrections reduce the symptoms without fully addressing the cause. The goal shifts to getting the ship into an acceptable condition for sea trials and formal inspection within the promised deadline. With the hull reinforced, attention turns to internal safety systems. Bilge pumps are started to test their capacity to remove water from different compartments. Watertight doors are operated repeatedly, checking closing times and real-world sealing. Electricians move through the passageways, checking fuses, cables, and strings of lamps. Records mention small, isolated faults such as irregular noises in pumps and doors that need fine adjustments. Even so, most results are considered satisfactory by the standards of that time. With testing complete, the inconsistencies move from steel to paper. Engineers turn chalk marks, vibration readings, and leaks into detailed reports with diagrams and measurements. Those documents list replaced rivets, last-minute reinforcements, and doors that require extra sealing. During administrative screening, many items are labeled non-critical as long as they do not prevent basic operation. The evidence shows the problems are known, but now they compete with the schedule and the need to move forward to sea trials. In the days leading up to sea trials, Titanic goes through a last-minute review. Engineers and supervisors walk through the ship with checklists in hand, verifying whether recent fixes have actually been completed. Compartments, pumps, doors, and corridors are revisited in quick succession. The evidence shows that some adjustments work as intended, while others simply change their status on paper. The goal now is to confirm that nothing will block the official test, even if some items remain open for follow-up later. On the eve of the sea trial, Titanic stops being just a construction project and starts being treated as an operational ship. Technical crews are organized to monitor engines, pumps, and maneuvers. Engineers review the test plan, defining speeds, turns, and stops to be evaluated. Tugs are notified, mooring lines are checked, and the shipyard adjusts its routine for moving a 46,000-ton hull. The evidence indicates that the trial will be short and straightforward, just enough to prove that the ship can sail within what was promised. During the sea trial, Titanic accelerates along a controlled route while engineers monitor engines, pressure, and handling. At certain speeds, the stern shows stronger vibrations than expected, noticeable both in instruments and in the structure. Notes record unusual noises in specific areas, but the ship responds to helm and engine orders as planned. Officially, the results are considered satisfactory for approval. If you want to understand how these technical observations connect to the tragedy of 1912, stay with us and follow this documentary through to the end. After the sea trial, engineers and officers meet to compare impressions and notes. Reports highlight good engine response, correct maneuvers, and overall solid performance. At the same time, they mention intense vibration in the stern and abnormal noises at certain revolutions. Some argue that these effects are typical in large ships and can be tolerated with minor adjustments. Others suggest a deeper analysis. In the final record, those observations appear as points to monitor without blocking the ship's approval. After the trial, Titanic returns to port for a series of final adjustments. The observation lists are turned into specific tasks and assigned to engine room, hull, and interior teams. Many items related to stern vibration receive targeted corrections, while others are simply logged as characteristics of the ship. External inspections are scheduled to confirm that the trial met formal requirements. In practice, the goal is to present a ship ready to be approved, with the most visible problems apparently under control. With the sea trial completed, the decision about Titanic stops being purely technical and becomes formal. Reports mention good maneuverability and performance within expectations, but they also record strong vibration in the stern and abnormal noises at certain speeds. Engineers suggest additional corrections, while company representatives point to the schedule and the voyage already announced. The naval inspector reviews the paperwork, visits a few key areas, and concludes that the ship meets minimum requirements. Approval is granted with notes attached, marking the moment Titanic is officially considered ready for service. With the certificate signed, Titanic is treated as an approved ship, but not as a finished job. The notes about vibration and noise turn into urgent work orders to be handled in short time windows. Crews return to the stern, tighten supports, reinforce specific points, and review components connected to the engines. The evidence suggests that these interventions focus on reducing symptoms, not on rethinking the design. The objective is straightforward: leave everything in acceptable condition before departure for Southampton. While technical adjustments continue in internal areas, Titanic's lounges and cabins take on their final look. Carpenters, decorators, and cleaning staff work side by side, installing furniture, curtains, and carpets. The evidence shows that the priority shifts to how the ship will appear to future passengers, especially in first class. The structure beneath the decor remains the same, with localized reinforcements added in the previous days. Visually, the ship already looks ready, even though recent reports still list points that need monitoring. With the ship approved, the yard moves into departure mode. Titanic is prepared no longer as a build, but as a vessel going into service. Coal, provisions, and cargo are organized for the trip to Southampton. Clearance documents, certificates, and crew lists move back and forth between offices and the ship. Tugs are informed about the next operation. The evidence indicates that recent structural adjustments are now treated as a finished phase. From this point on, the focus is sticking to schedules and integrating Titanic into the company's commercial routine. On the last night in Belfast, Titanic remains lit by interior lights and a few external lamps while most of the yard is already quiet. Inside the ship, smaller teams keep working on final repairs, inspections, and equipment organization. Mechanics, carpenters, and electricians walk through almost empty corridors, finishing tasks that could not be done during the day. The evidence shows that many of these adjustments are discreet but essential for operations. When the sun comes up, the ship will need to look ready at every level. As night ends, the last formal safety checks before leaving Belfast begin. Lifeboats are inspected for ropes, tackle, and mounting points. Watertight doors and closing devices are tested again, now in quick demonstrations. Crew members receive basic instructions about internal routes, duty stations, and initial responsibilities. The evidence suggests that procedures follow the standards of the time, focused on minimum functionality, not on extreme scenarios. For the official record, Titanic now presents itself as ready to sail for Southampton. Once the final clearances arrive, Titanic is released to leave Belfast. Tugs take control of moving the massive hull away from the pier, while crew members spread out along the decks to watch lines and fenders. On the shipyard side, workers pause their routine for a few minutes just to watch the departure. The evidence shows that from this moment on, the ship stops being a project under completion and becomes part of the company's active fleet. The immediate destination is Southampton, where the maiden voyage will finally take shape.
The pressure could result in a critical shutdown.
Leaving Belfast behind, Titanic steams south at moderate speed under the close watch of the technical crew. In the engine room, engineers track revolutions, coal consumption, and boiler temperatures. On deck, officers observe how the ship behaves in open water, especially around the stern. Notes record vibrations that are still present, but considered under control for the run to Southampton. At this stage, the objective is simple: reach the English port without incidents, reinforcing the image of a newly approved, fully operational ship. As Titanic approaches Southampton, it shifts from a technical focus to the centerpiece of the company's commercial operation. Tugs take charge again, guiding the ship through the busy English port. On the quay, teams are already waiting with setups ready for loading cargo, baggage, and soon passengers. Officers review crew schedules and onboard service lists. The evidence shows that from the moment Titanic arrives in Southampton, recent structural issues fade from the spotlight and make room for a new priority: present the ship as a symbol of safety and prestige. Already docked in Southampton, Titanic continues to receive minor adjustments, now mixed into normal port routine. Technical teams correct finishing details, check equipment, and fine-tune electrical installations in specific areas. This work is done discreetly, while the quay is organized for cargo, baggage, and future passengers. The evidence shows that part of the intervention started in Belfast still continue here, but with much less visibility. The official focus becomes the image of a great ocean liner that is ready, while the last repairs move forward in the background. With final adjustments completed, organized crew boarding begins. Sailors, stewards, firemen, and cooks cross the quay carrying simple suitcases and canvas bags, ready to take on defined roles. Officers check name lists and assign duty stations in each sector of the ship. Many of them know nothing about the earlier technical reports. They receive only practical instructions about internal routes, shifts, and responsibilities. From this point on, Titanic becomes in practice a working environment, a human structure being assembled for the maiden voyage. Before the passengers arrive, baggage and provisions do. On the quay, crates, trunks, and sacks of supplies form organized lines beside Titanic. Company employees sort what will go to cargo holds, storerooms, and service areas. The evidence shows that the flow is designed for efficiency. Everything needs to be on board before boarding time. Meanwhile, crew members already on duty watch the volume of cargo, aware that behind the glamour of the maiden voyage, the ship functions as a massive moving logistics structure. As boarding time approaches, Titanic stops being just a technical structure and becomes a public showcase. Outside, families, solitary travelers, and servants walk toward the quay, guided by White Star Line signs. From a distance, lifeboats, funnels, and decks project an image of safety and grandeur. None of the future passengers has access to the reports on vibration, replaced rivets, or discrete reinforcements added in the previous weeks. To them, the ship represents modernity and confidence. The problems remain confined to paperwork and the memories of those who worked inside the hull. When boarding begins, Titanic is observed only from the outside. Passengers cross the gangway while officers control the flow with firm gestures. Below, holds, compartments, and machinery already carry the sum of the decisions made in recent weeks. Replaced rivets, localized reinforcements, vibrations recorded and labeled acceptable. The documents describing all of this stay filed away in drawers while the ship leaves port as a symbol of confidence. The tragedy of 1912 is still in the future, but the errors that will lead to it are already traveling on board.